That's kind of gross that I'm digging in my ear like that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's going on the What Up Woodbridge Podcast. What's up, Woodbridge? How you doing today? What's up, Woodbridge? What's up? Hey, what's up, Woodbridge VA? Hey, what's up, Woodbridge VA? Hey, what's up? Welcome to the What Up Woodbridge Podcast. I'm your host, Uncle Clarence. Thank you for tuning into the show. Welcome to the What Up Woodbridge Podcast. I want to thank you guys. I've been waiting to do this for such a long time, and God has finally put the pieces together for me able to get started. And He gave me the grand opportunity to start off with doing an interview with someone who is very near and dear to me, my mother. We're in the Woodbridge, Virginia area. We moved here 30-some years ago, and this is just the thing that's been on my heart to start off, to share with people some of the experiences that I've had, some people that I've met in the community, some of the things that I've done. And now, just to give you an idea of who my mother is, I'm going to let you give you your own introduction, but I just want to thank you for coming on. And go ahead, give yourself an introduction, and then we'll go ahead and get into the show.
Well, yes, as you said, I'm Carolyn Ann Smith. I retired from Fairfax County after 25 years of teaching and 13 years of teaching in West Virginia. That's who I am. Stay-at-home caregiver for my husband, taking care of us, and enjoying life in our retirement.
Awesome. That's amazing. So you like what I did with the place?
Yes, very nice. I love it.
I know. I had to put some work into it.
It's very nice. I see some ideas I can take and use
For upstairs?
upstairs. Yes.
Yeah, because we're recording live from the basement, from my mama basement, live.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is what I want to do with the podcast. I want to reach out to the community, reach out to business owners, reach out to schools, students, reach out to pastors, teachers, anyone who's in the community who has something going on that they want to promote themselves, their work, brand, their food, their restaurant, and also just to bring people together to connect and kind of build a village. Because, make Woodbridge and Dale City one of the happiest little towns in Virginia. There's another Woodbridge in New Jersey. So when I went to college, go shout out Virginia State, a lot of people were saying like, oh, you're from Woodbridge, are you from New Jersey? And I'm like, no, Woodbridge, Virginia, which is part of the DMV, which is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Don't argue with me on that. And the way that I can prove that, the curly W, or usually the W for the Nationals, Washington Nationals, stands for Woodbridge. And within Woodbridge, there's also a town which has DC, Dale City. You can't tell me that Woodbridge is not part of the DMV. What I wanted to just get into with you, Mom, is why did we settle on Woodbridge? Before we moved here, when did we move here? What was the thought of why we had to move from where we moved and where we came from?
Okay. So originally we're from a little town in the hills of West Virginia called Beckley. And there I was an educator, and my husband was a manager at a fast food restaurant. And he had gotten to the highest level in the company. It reached a ceiling. He couldn't go any further being a manager because all of the supervisors that were hired as managers, the positions were, they were, and they were
I was joking, but I guess
taken.
that was real. This was the 80s, late 80s, huh?
Yeah, they were taken. That was the answer. They were taken, and he could not go any higher, and it was hard to get a raise because his management was at the highest level. So they told us the only other place he could go to move to be a supervisor would be Asheville, North Carolina.
North Kakalaki, the hills.
The hills in Asheville. Very beautiful place.
All right.
So we checked out Asheville where he could become a supervisor, and I was like, Clarence, we're from the hills of West Virginia. I can't live in the hills any further. I did become certified to teach in North Carolina. That was our intention, to move there so that he could become a supervisor and eventually move up higher and higher in the company. Well, we got to thinking, and we said, let's check out some other places. So we did visit Charlotte and things, but trying to go in from the ground floor would be the same as starting where he left in West Virginia as a manager. To be a supervisor, he had to stay with that company. So my sister had moved here, and she was a supervisor at McDonald's Corporation. At Mickey D's.
All right.
And she said, I have an opening if he wants to be a manager here. And the amount of money as a manager at McDonald's was even higher than the amount of money you could be as a supervisor in Asheville, North Carolina. He went through the interview process, and he was hired by the McDonald's Corporation as a manager.
Did he do Hamburger University?
He did not do Hamburger University because, unfortunately, he was injured and wasn't able to fulfill his duties as manager at McDonald's. During my summer off from teaching, I visited several schools, Prince William County, Rappahannock County, and Fairfax County. And the first one that called was Fairfax County, and I went for an interview, and I was hired. So I said, okay, it must be in God's plan that we move, because my first interview was productive. He stayed that summer with my sister while I stayed back home getting the house sold and getting
ripping
things
my
moved.
Life away from my friends.
Yeah, he was 10
everything
years
that I had
old.
known.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, everything. No, I didn't panic until we actually moved here, and all the stories we had heard about the big city, Washington, D.C., and those places kind of hit me, and then I'm like, what have I done? We've been safe. This has been a great place. We first did move to Fairfax County to live.
So we moved to Mount Vernon.
Yeah, the Mount Vernon area of Alexandria. I was teaching at a school called Bucknell Elementary at that time, and he was attending a school, I love it, Washington Mill Elementary. Washington Mill is very dear to my heart. And my husband was working, now he couldn't work with McDonald's because the injury was to his leg, so he was working with a company called F&M. He was working in Manassas at F&M. And I was working in Fairfax County, and we lived in Fairfax County, and the commute for both of us was okay for me, but it was very long for him. So we decided also
From Alexandria,
we had to we looked around for housing, and on both of our salaries, Fairfax County was just not in the budget.
Still
to buy
wild. Fairfax County home prices
were
insane.
They were about 1989.
89.
And so we did purchase a home in Woodbridge. It was a town home in Woodbridge, and that's how we settled into Woodbridge, Virginia.
And what was that? Do you remember that neighborhood?
That was called, Rollingwood Village.
Rollingwood Village, that's right.
Yeah.
And that was on what, Smoketown Road?
Off of Smoketown Road.
And was it still a gravel road when we first
At first,
moved there?
it was a gravel road when we moved here.
Okay.
Smoketown was. Now it is a major byway.
Four lanes. So now, one part that I do remember before we actually moved to Rollingwood was Georgetown Village. We visited there.
We visited, and we stayed there until we found a place to live. My husband stayed, actually he moved here in March. So
March
from
of
March
89.
of 89 until August of 89 when we finally moved here. He stayed with Georgetown Village with my sister.
So Georgetown Village was awesome. That was a good summer because I remember the Bobby Brown album, what was it? Don't Be Cruel was on it. And we were riding in the white Acura Integra up 95 in the rain. Remember it was pouring rain?
Oh my.
And then we had to pull over because it was just way too crazy rain. And then when we finally got here, I remember thinking like, wow, we might be rich. Just because they had all the landscaping and stuff, and then they had all the stores that were here, and then we went to Potomac Mills, which was insane, just gigantic mall. So yeah. So what else? What about Woodbridge?
One of the things about Georgetown Village also that was a cultural shock to me was the closeness of the homes, the town homes.
The townhouses,
And we were from the country where we had our little house and our acre and our fenced-in yard, and we always lived on the end of the street. There was no one to the left of us, to the right of us, but there was always someone to the left. So the closeness of living in a townhome was new and different.
Yeah, because it's you walk right out of your door, and then it's from my distance to you was like another person
Yeah.
outside working on their car or something. Yeah, no, I remember that too. It was interesting, and then just the amount of people and the different cultures.
Yeah.
Just everybody blended and so close together. Yeah, that was something that was awesome too. Then when we moved to Rollingwood Village, I believe. Well, I was actually going back and forth at first between a school in, I don't know, can I say that, or is that like the statute of limitations? Because like was y'all like shedding zones, kids like kids who live at somebody else's house or something, or they don't really.
Well, you don't need to mention the school, but
okay, yeah. So I was going to a different school in Fairfax while we lived in Prince William.
Yeah, well, only for we moved
until the end of the summer.
To the end of the school year,
yeah.
From I think it was maybe April to June.
Yep.
It wasn't very long.
Yep. And
we didn't break the law for very long.
It didn't break the law, yep, but broke my heart away from a new set of friends and relations that I built. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to therapy for all of this. Yeah. But no. And so then after we did that and we settled in Woodbridge, after that year, I started attending Fred Lynn.
Yeah.
Okay, Fred Lynn Middle, and that was the first Prince William County school that I attended, right?
Correct. I remember you had to pass several other schools to get to Fred Lynn before you got there, and I was like, what is this deal that he had to go so far away from Rollingwood Village all the way down to Fred Lynn, which was very close to Route 1.
Zoning is crazy.
And zoning, and yeah, it really was. And but and I was still working and driving to Fairfax County, so it was and my husband, as being a manager, his time frame to go to work was later than both of us, so he was there to send you off to school.
Yeah.
And basically I was there in the evenings.
Sleep.
Yeah, he was asleep.
Man was tired.
Yeah.
Working hard.
He worked at night, and most of the time after the stores were closed.
Yes.
He was in retail. And so I was home in the evenings, basically. You got home before I did a little bit. You were, what do they call those key kids? Latchkey kids.
Shout out to the 90s kids, 80s babies, latchkey kids.
While.
We did it on our own, and we still made it through.
Yeah, and they were safe.
That's right, for the most
some
part.
Things
No, we're not getting into that yet.
No, oh, okay.
We're not getting into that yet. So, basically, did I play the intro for you?
I don't think you did.
Let me.
Let's
1
play
second.
that intro.
All right.
Here's what's going on the Woodbridge Podcast. What's up, Woodbridge? How you doing today? What's up, Woodbridge? What's up? Hey, what's up, Woodbridge VA? Hey, what's up, Woodbridge VA? Hey, what's up?
Awesome.
You like that?
To the What Up
Yeah,
Woodbridge
that
Podcast.
rhymes, huh?
I'm your host, Uncle Clarence.
I'm glad you like it, because I put my hard work into that.
Yes.
No, I wanted to be a little silly too, because we want to have fun on the show.
Entertaining.
Just reach out to people from 8 to 80.
Yes.
We said why we didn't settle on Woodbridge, but why we moved to Woodbridge. It was convenient for the commute. The home prices were very comfortable for us. Two parents and only child, and the jobs and everything, and just moving from West Virginia. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. So after you got here, what were some of the things that when we went out? I know we would do a lot of things. We would go to Washington, D.C. and things, but in the Northern Virginia area, DMV places, restaurants, stores, and shopping. But what do you remember, like places that you would like to go to in Woodbridge, as far as food or shopping, or back when we first got here?
Well, when we first got here, as you said, we basically went to D.C. and Maryland and places like that. What really amazed me was that the stories we heard about Washington, D.C. and the big city, as they called it back home, were all the violence and the negative things. But when we came here and we would visit D.C. and see the architecture, the buildings, all of the museums, and that was so amazing that there was a whole part of that was never really presented to us of what things you can do
Okay.
in DC and see, and a lot of them were free.
Yeah.
A lot of them were free, and just the history behind it, looking at those kinds of things. And there was never a moment where there wasn't somewhere to go during the weekends and something to do.
Okay.
So a lot of it was outside of Woodbridge, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of history in Woodbridge that we've also come to find out that
Yes.
we need to visit and find out about the historical part of that, because
Yep.
there is not only American history, Civil War history, the history also, there's a lot of Black cultural history here in Woodbridge,
Woodbridge.
Virginia. You'll find out for yourself things
More
there's to
things.
do.
Awesome.
We visit a lot of places, Fredericksburg, Virginia, with the history and culture of those kinds of things. And so there was always something to do.
Okay.
And to keep us interested, to keep us busy, and to keep us away from just the negative parts of what was going on and what was being
'Cause this
said.
was in like the 89, 90,
90s,
early 90s, like
90s,
crack
yeah.
era and everything, where it had a bad image.
Yes, the
you know,
bad image.
But it wasn't that bad when you
No,
actually,
when you
went to
actually
certain places to
some
try
of
to.
I think we were safer in D.C. than and some of the places that we lived in West Virginia.
Oh, okay. I thought you was
some
gonna
of the places
say Woodbridge or something.
Yeah.
Like, nah, don't do that. It's nice here.
Yeah, in the small town, I think some of the places we visited here were much safer. Really, as I said, than there. There's danger everywhere you go.
There is.
So
That's
there
right.
is. But like I said, they portray the negative more than the good, and it didn't deter us from coming here and learning and doing things that we wanted to see and do that I've only read about in books and learned about in school.
Nice. That's amazing. So yeah, like the historical value just of getting out and going and see what there is. It's not just Potomac Mills Mall. That's a great perspective. Great perspective that people who may be interested in moving here, who visit here often, or who've already lived here, and we're like, I never knew. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to DC, but that's not always easy for everybody. And just having that convenience of being so close to DC and being in the DMV, it's valuable. Yeah, it's very valuable.
And that is the intention of your podcast. It's getting out for people to find out what there is and what you can do.
And what's out there, what's available. You just got to get up and get out.
Yeah.
Because I remember in West Virginia, we had a few churches that we would go to just based off of our grandparents. And that was something that we did continue. We weren't consistent. But it was ingrained and it was there. So when we got here, we started visiting a few churches. So you remember, where would you worship?
We did, as you said, we visited several churches, and the one that stood out that seemed most like home, Christ Chapel. And as we were in Christ Chapel, it was almost like we were in the church at home.
Yeah.
The pastor was preaching, and I'm like, I heard that sermon. I heard those words. I heard that interpretation.
Yeah.
And it was, the choir was fantastic. Sounded like the choir at home.
It was worshiping.
So we were worshiping
All
there,
right.
and we joined that church and settled there on worship. Now, I do remember that you did not follow us as much as you should, because you weren't baptized in that church.
No, I wasn't.
You was not.
But I was
you were
baptized.
Not, sorry.
I was baptized first time when I was like 14. And I had a friend whose father, during the summer, while our latchkey kids were running around, and he kind of reached out and was like, nah, y'all coming with us to church. And from there, that helped me too get a little bit more in depth and learn to ask more questions and more details.
Yeah,
so yeah.
I think at that time your father and I had taken a little break from church, so we really weren't attending. That's probably when we were trying to settle on
we weren't consistent,
where we wanted to
but
go.
it was still there.
Not. And so you were. We were shocked that you were going to be baptized in some place we had no idea or ever heard about.
It was handling snakes. No, I'm just kidding. They weren't.
They were not. And so you were, and so we formed. And we went to several churches, and then we found a church where we are now our church home. So we're at First Mount Zion Baptist Church in Dumfries, Virginia.
It's in Dumfries right there off the Parkway, close to 95.
We're members there, and that seems like home. It's very much like the home. The church we belonged to in West Virginia was called Mount Zion, and the church here is First Mount Zion Baptist Church. We're glad that opportunity has been given to us so that we can continue our worship.
Amen. Amen. All right. So let's see. What you wearing? That's like fashion. I know that's one of the things that I wanted to get into as well. Right now, I'm representing Virginia State University Trojans down in Petersburg, Virginia, my alma mater.
Yeah.
That's right. I know the Alumni Association is going to come after me now because I'm out here trying to do a podcast and haven't joined. But hey, that's how it works. So yeah, what you wearing? What's the fashion?
I'm not very much into fashion. I don't have a sense of fashion as much as my sisters do. They always told me, please do not take offense if you are an educator, but they always told me I dress like an old school teacher. And so most of my, I'm not giving any store any shout outs or anything like that, but
No labels.
no
you know.
labels, nothing. It comes
I remember you used to wear Etienne Anier when I was a kid.
Yeah, all the
You had
the
designer
shoes.
purses
Yeah,
and the
all
shoes and stuff.
And,
That ain't no boring teacher.
yeah, there are two stores
That's bougie.
we frequent Macy's and J.C. Penney's,
Oh.
and so those are where most of my clothes come from. But actually, my sister does a lot of shopping for me. I can't take credit because she says I would choose something that would not be as fashionable. She's very fashionable.
Okay.
She's my younger sister, the one we lived with, and
Yes.
so she dresses me more than for me.
Our home intro to Woodbridge, our first conduit. Yes. Maybe we should get Laverne on here one day.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
You guys will see very much what I mean when I say it. She's very fashionable, full of bling.
Yeah, and as part of Woodbridge history and culture, if anyone ever
Yeah.
worked at any McDonald's
Oh, I'm sure you
in
know
Dale
her.
City, Woodbridge during the '90s, you probably know Miss Laverne. Mi Laverne. Hola, gente. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, she was a manager, supervisor at McDonald's, and she worked in off of Route 1 in Moronsko.
Romsko.
She worked for the one down in. She did work in Fredericksburg for a while, so
Yeah.
she's been all over.
Dale City?
Dale City. You
On the-
probably know her as a
Dale
manager.
Boulevard. Was that
the
one?
one is
Oh, no, wait, what, the
it's
Potomac
called-
Mills one?
It's called 10,000. It was called 10,000.
What about the
It's
Potomac
off
Mills
of
one?
Dale Boulevard by where I guess that's Minnieville crosses
Okay, yep,
Dale
there.
Boulevard.
So yeah, so anybody who worked in any of those,
Yeah.
maybe y'all went to go get some fries because y'all store was empty and was like, oh, Mi Laverne, we need fries.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's how it was. But yeah, so not the fashion or anything, I had picked up some ideas and some things from friends and from people throughout the years. But what are you watching? What are you watching? Movies, TV? Because I know y'all stay on Law and Order. Stayed on that growing up. Anything on Netflix?
I have to say now, a lot of the time that I'm spending now is watching tennis, the tennis channel. Because there's no sex, there's no violence,
Hey.
no cursing.
They do be
No,
cursing.
watching
They be
television
cursing
now.
watching tennis. Who's your football team?
Pittsburgh Steelers, of
Go
course.
Steelers.
You have to know that coming from West Virginia, the closest proximity to what the part we were from was Pittsburgh Steelers, and
That's
they've
right.
been. My dad was a Steelers fan
That's right.
way back. Franco Harris and Mean Joe Green. Oh my goodness,
The legends.
It's in the blood.
All right, the legends. That's amazing. Yeah, that's another feature in the podcast. I have some friends who have podcasts, sports, politics, money related, relationships, those kind of things. Feature them on the show as well, so they can get some exposure, so they can share their services, their talents, their skills, just to get everybody together. Digital platform out there, having a great time and building the community, building the culture, building the village. So.
Yeah, it's very much needed. That's I'm so proud of you for doing that, and thank you for letting me be one of the first people. Because sometimes,
very first.
some people may think parents are kind of old-fashioned.
You are
and
old-fashioned.
I am
That's the
old-fashioned.
beautiful thing about it.
I am. There's nothing wrong with being old-fashioned,
Nope.
but I try to keep up with all this technology and these kinds of things. But sometimes it gets a little too complicated, but have you around to say, hey, what's this about?
And then I just Google it or YouTube it or, just
and say, okay,
figure it out until it
force.
breaks
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's amazing. That's great. I think that was a lot. I did leave this editing and stuff.
It's
I
over
did.
there.
There it is. So let's see.
That's what moms do.
Oh, food. Oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah, and not only a mother but grandmother.
Grandmother to 3 wonderful grandchildren.
Yes.
Yes, awesome. It took me forever to get this dude to give us grandchildren. I was very old when he gave us grandchildren, and
I mean, I like to,
yeah,
have my freedom.
Yeah, he had his freedom. He was one of all my friends had grandchildren, and some of them had great grandchildren before he had his first child. And we wanted to be grandparents. That was something family that is very much a part of what we are. I'm from a very large family. I need to mention.
Yeah.
I have 6 brothers and 6 sisters.
Usually 13
and,
kids.
13 kids in all. And so, they and my older ones had grandchildren. My older sister had great grandchildren before he had a child. I'm proud of them. I get to see them more now that he's in the basement than I ever did before.
But I made it look beautiful down here.
Yes, he did. I'm so proud of the way he had it look. It didn't look so bad before, but one of the controversies about the basement was the sofa that was the set that my husband loved, and my son and I,
It was the ugliest.
It's ugly.
It's still ugly because it's in here. It's still here.
It's still there, but we had to compromise, and
He got so mad at me because like the people were bringing it down the steps. I was like, "What is that thing? That thing is atrocious. Why would you buy that?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?" He's like, "It's my house."
Yeah, and so it's something that in the days coming, it may be gone. It may be
nice. So, yeah, that's just a lot of the things that I wanted to get into on the show and with people. Gotten a lot of ideas and just some of the people that I meet that I want to intertwine and intermingle into the podcast from working from jobs. Like, what about like in the community? What were anything that you like to participate in? Any organizations or groups or anything? And I don't know if there were any available back then or if you didn't know, but that's kind of what I want the podcast to do, is to say, hey, there's stuff to do if you didn't know.
Yeah, there's always things to do if you just have to seek it out and go to the right place. Very much, most of my time, like I said, was spent in teaching and working. When we first moved here, I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay.
But I did not affiliate here because, as I said, I was raising him, and
Always my fault.
yeah, it was always his fault, and doing those kinds of things. I've done a few community things, and most of my work was associated with the church, doing Vacation Bible School.
Yep.
And working with that, the joy of that. I did a lot of after-school programs, tutoring with students that were needed extra help. Working on Saturday school, did a lot of Saturday school and those kinds of things. And as I said before, just knowing that there are so very many things to do here that you will not get lonely. Really, having friends is great. A lot of my friends were people that I taught with that so far have moved away from this area. So much that it's a very expensive area to live in. I have to say that, but we're still here because of our son and our grandchildren. But
It's
we
always
know,
my fault.
of course, who else can we blame it on? He's an only child. He's an only child. And so to be near our grandchildren and him, we're still here and keep him busy. And we'll tend to get more involved into community and back into doing things in the church.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you to it.
You gotta have to. That's
'Cause
what we're here for.
We got to do it. Yeah, and then there's a lot of people who, when I came back, because
Yes.
the second time, came back and replanted in the basement and was like, all right, let's get out and be a part of a community, not just a good time, but a part of a community. You got to have a good time, especially when you work hard, and that working hard has to pay off. So just that part where you have someone available where you can reach out and say, hey, let's go out and not just act up and have fun, but let's go out and do a community cleanup. Let's go out and do a coat drive. Let's go out and not just with your church or not just with your job, but just as a group of friends sometimes, just a group of people to say, hey, let's get together and put this together. So
Yes.
those are kind of things.
Yeah, and one thing I'm proud of you for doing is teaching your children to do the same thing. You've taken them with you for
Yep.
the community cleanup and those kinds of things, and showing them a sense of community and a sense of giving back. I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you. Did you want to ask me any questions? Or anything?
I'm just going to ask you what more than just wanting to give back to community did you decide to do this podcast? Just is that the main reason and only reason?
It's one of the reasons. Yeah, it's one of the other reasons was that after I graduated college from Virginia State University, baby, class of 2000, mass communications major. That's right. After I graduated, that was what I graduated with in mass communications, where I had the opportunity to do some television work. There was some film work, actually, to be on set at New Millennium Studios. Tim and Daphne Reed, get some of that exposure, and it lit a spark in me, but I kind of let that flame die. I kind of went on my own path and started doing my own thing with just living life the way I thought I should live it out. Not really living the way God wanted me to, not knowing that there was a plan and a purpose, but just going off my own way. So after that, and I started working in a different field, which is a common story for a lot of mass communication majors, a lot of people who are talented in film work and television and news media, and a lot of people who do use those skills and talents have that ability to reach back out to those people who left that profession and say, hey, well, let's get you next to these people, let's get you next to this audition. To be able to have that skill and talent that I had a dream for before, the opportunity to do it again in this type of platform, and to say, hey, let's promote other people, let's get their gifts and talents out. Let's see what they like, what they do. Let's give them a platform, and then just see how it grows from there. Bring exposure to this community. As the community grows, they're building townhouses all over the place.
Oh, my goodness.
They're building houses all over the place. So those people who are either just moving from a different part of the town or moving from a different part of the state or a different part of the world, so they have somewhere when they get here, it doesn't take a long time to acclimate. They have something that now there's a lot of, phone apps, TVs, apps, YouTubes, and podcasts, tons of podcasts. So that's just something that I give another avenue for someone to say, wait, Woodbridge, I just moved here. Or, oh, yeah, I've lived here for a while. Oh, wow, that's amazing. There's so many things. Oh, look at that guy. I knew him. He's on that show with that person promoting that business or that talent, that skill, that ability, that school, that person. So that's what I'm really looking forward to with this.
That's good.
God's going to lead the way for it. And it's going to bless everybody who's involved.
Good. Wish you luck. Yes. And more than luck, just blessings that you're able to bring to the forefront a lot of things that will not be given that exposure to, and doing it in a way that is God-centered, a way that helps the community to do the positive things that are out there, and dwelling on those kinds of things is is awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, thank you. That sounds like a pretty good wrap up for the first show. I want to thank everybody who took the opportunity to stop in and listen. There's going to be so much more amazing information, content, shows coming up. Just getting this up and running is one of the greatest feelings that I have. I've been dragging my feet on it for so long, but I do thank you, Mom. Thank you so much for being the first guest on the show and just promoting Why Woodbridge for the What Up Woodbridge podcast.
What up?
And thank you What Up Woodbridge and What Up Mom. Thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful day and God bless. See you on the next episode.
Man.